Hello, everyone, and welcome again to today's webinar, SCRS Global Impact Partner Update. Please take a moment to look at the chat area in the lower right corner of your screen. You will see a drop-down menu with options next to the words Send To. If you have any technical problems today, please send a chat message to host. If you have any questions or comments for our presenters, please chat to all panelists. And if you have comments for the entire audience, chat to all attendees. A recording of this webcast will be available tomorrow, and we will send all registrants an email tomorrow with the appropriate link. We have a number of presenters today, but I'm going to go ahead and begin by passing the ball down to Sean Soth, who will start our presentation. Sean.
Hello, everyone. Oh, there we go. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today and spending some time with us on today's update. So today we're just going to be talking, we've been busy since we last saw most of you down in Hollywood, Florida for the summit. We want to talk to you a little bit about some of the follow-up and review that's taken place since our global meeting down in Hollywood, most specifically around the work that we're trying to do to improve communication and takeaways from our initiatives, which of course inform much of our strategy and also our GIP program. So we'll share a little bit about that. My colleagues will go into industry update around our research and some of our partnerships, as well as our initiative program through digital innovation. And then lastly, we'll talk about some of the things that are coming up in the pike, down the pike a little bit with our ambassador program, as well as the Global Oncology Summit. Here to give us a quick update on our landscape is Casey Orvin. Casey?
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Yeah, we wanted just to mention the site landscape because of how important and valuable it is to really everyone on the call. We receive, of course, every year we send this out to our sites to get valuable feedback from them, and we received the highest number of sites responding this year than any year previously, so we were very grateful for that. And we kept it open, which is something new that we did this year. We kept it open after the summit, so we can continue to compile that information. And then we are also working on putting it in a white paper form to where that'll be available soon, that we can really go in and analyze, and you can have that information available. And this really is the data that the industry needs, right? It shows the trends. It shows, it's really a benchmark for sites to know where they stand. And this year, too, we had a whole different section on decentralized trials, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But so it really is a lot of valuable information. I know we were promoting it like crazy at the summit, but we've seen just the feedback has been wonderful, and it's truly the voice of the sites, and this is the way that we can get feedback from sites and share it to all of you as our global impact partners.
Thanks, Casey. And just very quickly, in terms of the presentation itself from the summit, is that something that our GIPs have access to, I believe, at the archive? Is that right?
That is correct.
Thank you. Here to just tell us a little bit about what we experienced since the Global Site Solutions Summit, and a quick review of what we saw and heard there is Marcus Malik.
Take one moment just to make sure that everyone can see the slide accurately. I think we're good. Thank you, Sean. I'm very excited to share with everyone some news about the 2019 Global Site Solutions Summit and start paving the path as we look forward to 2020. The best news yet is that we had our largest attendance ever join us in Florida at the Diplomat this year. We had 1,024 total attendees, and that represents growth in all of our demographics, in sites, sponsors, CROs, and our clinical solution providers. And all of this just means more conversations and more collaboration. So we are so excited to be able to offer this opportunity for all of our partners to gather together and celebrate site sustainability. Part of that celebration was our Eagle Award gala and celebration, and we would just like to congratulate Pfizer and Syneos for their win this year. Really, the Eagle Award is designed to celebrate site relationships and what positive collaboration looks like within our industry. Pfizer and Syneos obviously showed really good relationships with their partners, like many of our other global impact partners do. Really, what we want to focus on this year is that there's a lot of buzz around the Eagles, and we want to take that all year long to really showcase what good site relationships look like all year long. We're always open for your feedback and suggestions, but just know that we're willing to work and partner with everyone here on this call. Looking forward, building on our momentum from 2019, we're full steam ahead for 2020. We're actually almost 90%, almost sold out of exhibit space for next year's Global Site Solutions Summit. And we also have our largest pre-advanced for registrations as well. The most registrations we've ever had before a summit. We're not even in 2020 yet. A couple other highlights for us to showcase was our tribute to Christine. This was our first year really honoring and celebrating the legacy of our founder, Christine Pierre. And just wanted to congratulate David Vocano for winning our inaugural CKP award. For me, that was one of the highlights of the summit overall. I can remember all of us standing in at the Eagle Awards Gala, holding hands, really celebrating connection. And that is just a vision of what Christine really wanted to accomplish and what SCRS can accomplish moving her life and mission forwards. The legacy lives on. Some other highlights from the summit include just the industry dialogue, having opportunities for everyone to contribute. And the sites really appreciate the candid dialogue that we have in the workshops, in the official workshops, but also just through all of the events that really support the summit. We had wonderful keynotes this year speaking about the resilience, communication, innovation, and especially purpose in clinical research, why we were all there celebrating together, emphasizing the interconnectedness of our industry. There were opportunities left and right for all of us to engage, but we really want to hear from you as we start designing and honing in on our 2020 mission of keeping the future in sight. We want to hear your story. What was your hot topic or key takeaways from the summit? Or do you have an experience to share? It's as easy as just sending us a quick email. We always appreciate your messages, anything that we can improve to make sure that this is really everyone's summit. Thank you, Sean. Passing the ball back your way.
Wonderful. Everyone, one of the things that we really, as a staff, appreciate and glean takeaways from is our annual in-person Global Impact Partner Board meeting. If you're joining us today and weren't there, we had actually nearly 70 representatives spanning all types. Some of our Eagle Award winners, our GIP primary contacts, our SCRS leadership committee, all joined us to talk about what we just experienced at the Site Solutions Summit and what SCRS needs to be thinking about moving forward into 2020. Some of the big takeaways Marcus had just mentioned in decentralized studies, as well as taking a lead on that, as well as taking a lead in the communication, just the communication between sponsor, CRO, site, and patient, improving that at all angles. Those were things that seemed to percolate with regards to SCRS. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was, how do we take this work that we're doing and improve our ability to involve GIPs, improve your ability as participants to share that information, and even take your contribution and leverage it within your organization for insight or perhaps externally in the market, depending on what constituency you have. And you have to remember that our GIP program is unique in that we have sponsors, CROs, solution providers, each working with different target markets, if you will, and then, of course, our leadership council, which comes from the sites and our Eagle Award winners and helps us sort of formulate, hey, here's what you guys need to be thinking about in terms of priority overall. And so how do we deliver that information? Where is the blueprint, and what does it look like? What's the most resounding tools that we can be providing? So many of you simply said, you know what, we would really love to have slide decks at the end of every initiative meeting, just to kind of take a peek at what was discussed, have a recap, and even be able to incorporate some of those into our programs and speaking opportunities throughout the year. One bit of information that I don't have on this slide that would be of interest is how many people are involved in other programs. I think our GIP board, probably if you sort of dissected where each of you go and attend and speak, you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of opportunities a year to help you improve and elevate some of the work that you're doing with us and perhaps be able to share out into the market. And so we ask questions like, well, how many of you are participating in initiatives, period? And 82% of GIPs are currently involved within an industry initiative. And that's not just with SCRS. That could be many of you are involved in Transcelerate or City or, of course, SCRS. And then what does it look like in terms of meetings? What's too many and what's too few? And what was interesting is 36% of our GIPs are participating in initiative meetings at a weekly level, but then equally 36% quarterly or less. So in our blueprint moving forward, we're trying to discern what's the appropriate frequency with which to kind of come together, communicate, and be productive. And we're working towards likely a bi-monthly schedule for our new initiatives moving into next year. That allows us to not only set milestones for the work and discussion points that are in those meetings, but then appropriately build out and share the communication tools like slide decks, infographics, minutes and summaries, just details that your teams can use when you're out in the market. How do we socialize that initiative participation? I thought this was pretty interesting. 81%, of course, speak to these programs at industry meetings. I think everyone on this call and certainly the people that we deal with day to day are involved in many meetings across the scope of the year. And for us, we want to do a better job of providing you with some resources to share what your participation looked like, or just simply be able to talk a little bit about some of the things that matter to sites. And really to the patients they serve, how they're communicating upstream and downstream, all those details. But this was just an interesting summary of some of the ways that your organization socialized the meeting, but certainly speaking was the number one. One thing that I thought was a missed opportunity was just providing client-facing or business development team with talking points around that work. I know one of the things that I really enjoy is hearing, for example, when Casey talks about the site landscape, I know that there are specific takeaways or elements inside that presentation that are valuable to organizations across our enterprise. But the same goes for when I hear our teams talk about the city initiatives or the Transcelerate ones that are involved. And forgive me, I know there are other initiatives out there, not to limit those, but same way. Like normally when we're able to share some of the finer points across the board, there's value there, and we want to be able to help you share that with your teams. And I say client-facing because some of you also, you're part of SCRS because you're site-facing organization and you want to be able to have that kind of great dialogue. We want to be able to provide you with those talking points. That's what our focus is on improving this initiative program and blueprint into 2020. So we'll be talking about this throughout the year next year and be leaning on you to help us if there's things that you really like or things that you want to see changed. These are opportunities to do that throughout the course of the year. And so what's next year look like? Well, of course, we've mentioned we've got 5 meetings that we will be participating in as SCRS or hosting a summit just from the start of the year to the end. That's our Oncology Site Solutions Summit, our European Summit, what will become SCRS West, Research on the Edge, the Australia-New Zealand Summit, and then, of course, the global meeting again in October. We will, before the end of this year, also schedule all of our GIP calls. You can come to the website that you used to log into this call today, and you'll be able to organize those on a calendar. We'll share those details too to make it simpler and easier to connect. There are also going to be a number of industry meetings. I know Casey is going to talk to you about those in just a moment that we'll participate in over the course of the year. But we want to be able to share, hey, we're going to be at this meeting. We would love to hear from you. Are there ways that we can support you? We have had some of our GIPs ask us if we could potentially speak or join them as panelists on different industry programs that maybe are very large, and we don't have, we might not have an exhibit there, but we would certainly welcome the opportunity to partner and support your team. So things like ASCO, HIMSS, these are organizations, DIA, that have a lot of speaking over the course of the weeks that they're being held, and we are getting some invitations. If we can support you there, please raise the flag. We're happy to at least have a dialogue there. Casey, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about where we're headed in 2020.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sean. Yeah, and I'll echo what Sean mentioned, that we are more than happy. In fact, we want to work with you and to present with you and really make sure that site voice is continually being heard. In addition to the Oncology Summit, of course, that will be taking place in late January, and then our European, which we're really excited about, is in Lisbon this year rather than London, happening in March. I wanted just to put the other conferences in first quarter that we will be contributing to. The first one being Crown in January down in Florida. I'll be speaking in a session there. And then also Scope, that's in February 18th, I believe, through the 20th. We will actually be exhibiting there, hopefully with the intent of bringing on new members. We're continually looking to see how we can bring on new sites and encouraging those sites that are new to our industry, or those sites that have been around for a while but may not be SCRS members, on showing the value of being a member of SCRS. We'll actually hold, similar to what we did last year, and we'll hold a GIP reception on Wednesday evening, so February 19th. So if you want to put that on your calendar, just a kind of an informal get-together, just to honor you as our partners and as our GIPs. And then also DIA is having a Digital Technology and Clinical Trials conference, and that is the end of March in Boston, and I'm actually on the planning committee for that, and we'll be speaking. So again, I think if you look at the requests and the topics, the buzzword right now really is the decentralized and the virtual component of our industry. And it's very important that the site voice is not only heard, but really acted upon when we're talking about decentralized trials, and that it's an important piece of that. And you've heard me and Sean and Dan and kind of the whole SCRS team preach for the last several months of how important the site voice is heard, but then also how important it is that we feel strongly that the hybrid approach is the best approach, that we don't need to go completely away from the patient seeing their doctor at the site, but the hybrid approach is best. And at the Global Summit, in fact, there was a lot of conversation, a lot of the conversation not only in the breakout sessions and in the formal meetings, but also in the hallways of what does this mean for sites? How can sites continue to play a pivotal role in the industry? So we want to equip the SCRS sites with the most updated information and really the know-how in how to be ready for the future, because decentralized and virtual studies are part of our future. We feel strongly about that. To what extent, that is debated, but again, the hybrid approach we feel best. And one of our partners, our Circle of Sustainability partner, VirTrial, offers a complimentary training to all of the SCRS sites, so where they can take 4 short modules and be virtually trained. And the sites can actually get CEUs by taking it as well. So that's a solution that we feel strongly about, that if we can arm the sites, if we can prepare the sites and give them the knowledge that they need, the education they need to be virtually capable, that the sponsors and CROs and many of you on this call can know that the SCRS sites are the sites to go to when you have a decentralized component as part of your study. So I think it's truly I hate to use the win-win analogy, but it is, because it's a win for the sites because they feel that they now have that knowledge and they know how to run a decentralized trial. And it's a win for sponsors and CROs because they can feel confident that the sites that they are choosing for those studies are the best of the best, the cream of the crop, if you would. And that's what we feel strongly the SCRS sites are. So we're appreciative of VirTrial for really making that available to the sites. And it's fantastic. We're nearing 1,000 sites that are virtually capable and virtually trained to do these new types of studies for the future. So appreciate them. Also for AstraZeneca and Bayer, just a couple of the examples of companies that have asked us as SCRS to come in and present the site landscape info, to really present to them what are on the site's minds right now. How can we work more effectively together between our organization and the sites in the industry? And having been in the site side for 20 years, this really puts a smile on my face because we are being asked to come in and to share with them the thoughts of the sites. What do sites need? What can sites start doing better? What can sponsors and CROs do differently? Really, it's a coming to the minds to where we can have more collaboration, we can have more partnership. So appreciative. In fact, Bayer, we did a presentation both in the U.S. and in Europe. So again, as Sean mentioned before, if your company wants us to come in and present, and it's to different teams, right? It's operations, it's finance, it's the monitors that go out to the sites. It's really a collaborative effort among these organizations that they want to know how sites feel and how they can work more effectively with sites. And we have the data that they need. So appreciative of those two examples. And then also member scholarships. You know, as part of the relationship with SCRS, Syneos helps to underwrite several scholarships. They recently shared a membership scholarship code at a NIHR event recently. Greenfire. We've mentioned that, and Dan will talk about it in just a moment, but a large symposium that we held in Poland. And Greenfire sponsored and awarded SCRS scholarships to those sites that attended that were not SCRS members. So this is just an example of some of our partners that are really looking at ways that they can partner with SCRS. And this is not, we would like to partner with everyone on the call to really, how can we advance medicine? How can we make sure that the site voice is being heard within each of your organizations and within the industry? So we're grateful for these GIPs in particular. And I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Casey. No, I will add. Certainly, there are many times over the year where we're approached by different GIPs and some folks that aren't GIPs about ways to help us share the message and really community. This is the part of these. Just recognizing these folks on this slide. I mean, part of this is just the mentorship that we're trying to provide the sites, whether they're new or perhaps they're dealing with a challenge that is unique, maybe to them, but not to many of the SCRS members. We are finding that because of some of the awareness that our GIPs are providing in the space, that we're gaining more members or more people that we're able to help. They might not be able to become a member just yet, but that's something to potentially gravitate towards later down the road. We're just there to help put them on a path if they are facing a challenge that's unique. There's a lot of conversation out there about the site's role in the enterprise, and I think we're just appreciative of all of you on the phone call today, and certainly the folks on that we're just making a shout out here on this slide today about some of the things that we've been able to accomplish this year. I will also add just briefly that if you are a sponsor, a CRO, or a solution provider on the call today, and you have an audience of sites, and you are interested in having discussions with your customer base or client base or even your internal site-facing teams, we would welcome that. Let us know how we can support you, similar to what we're seeing from these invitations at other conferences. AstraZeneca and Bayer did invite the team to just sort of share the SCRS mission. Whenever we have an opportunity to do this, please know that that slide that you may have seen in the holding position at the webcast, we share about how unique this GIP community is and what we're trying to accomplish together at each of those opportunities over the course of the year. So thanks once again for that. One of the things that we really worked on this year, particularly my team with Marcus, Brittany, Monica, and myself, we really wanted to make sure that we were improving the way that you had access to SCRS. If you had a question, if there was something we could do, we really work hard to be quick to find that information for you or guide you or help you. And we're having a lot of strategy meetings right now leading up into next year on some of the opportunities that you might know around the summit, but some that you might not know. And there is a website that we've built, and we will make sure that you're aware of that and include it. It's in almost all of our communications. It's just simply scrsprograms.com. And on there is information about different ways to get involved with SCRS. Or simply it may give your teams insight into, hey, how can we mutually approach a challenge that we might have. And sometimes those conversations need even more insight and more exclusive detail. And we were asked to provide site advocacy groups or surveys. We had many this year. We had a record number of site advocacy groups and surveys in 2019. Site advocacy groups are basically custom focus groups. And sometimes they're designed as annual innovation or opportunities to have dialogue with a very dedicated site community. Typically, it's about 12 sites that form a site advocacy group, or maybe it's a solution provider searching for the best approach to a market, or even someone who's just interested, are we on the right track with some of these solutions? How do they affect sites? Where do they affect sites? How can that inform our organization? What's the business insight here to glean on startup and regular communication and certainly as we're bringing medicines to market? You know, all of those things are topics that sometimes require a deeper dive or a custom dive. And I think we've done a nice job with our site advocacy groups this year. If you have an interest in that, one thing we do want to change is we're trying to schedule these. We want to be mindful of, it's the same way we are with attendance. You want to be mindful that could you sell 50 more exhibits, or could you do 50 more of these types of research or surveys? Maybe, but there is we want to be mindful of the audience relationship that we have with the folks that are hosting SAGs and are interested in conducting surveys. So if you have an interest in pursuing a SAG or a survey, please reach out to us. Or even if that's not on your radar and you just want to understand the different channels to be involved with SCRS, please reach out to Marcus or myself, and we'd be happy to talk with you about it. These site advocacy groups and surveys oftentimes lead to incredible insights for the organizations that are hosting them. And that's what we aim to do. And, of course, the reciprocal is that the sites involved really get a sense of community. They have an opportunity to talk to the other people on that SAG, and it's a 12-month program that allows people to interact while they're in the SAG together and, of course, offline as well. Once again, that website, if you have an interest, is scrsprograms.com. Here to talk about our upcoming initiative that is open to everyone and we're really excited about is Jimmy Bechtel. Jimmy, can you share a little bit about an update about what's next here in the very short term on the SCRS Digital Innovation Initiative?
Absolutely. Thanks, Sean. So, hi, everybody. I'm excited to share that earlier this week, we sent out an invitation for all of you to participate in the Digital Innovation Initiative. This introduction and initial stakeholder meeting is actually going to be held on December 17th at 1 Eastern. During that meeting, I plan to cover the program, its charter, discuss some of the outcomes and directions of that initiative, as well as some of the expectations for participation. I'll use that time to gain a little bit of feedback from you all as attendees on some of the ideas that we have for it, but we're also really excited to share that this initiative will be following our new blueprint for really all of our programs and initiatives going forward that we'll be utilizing throughout the year that Sean alluded to a few slides earlier that should give these programs much more structure and reliable outcomes. So if you all had not received that invitation, announcement or the actual physical invitation, if you did respond and indicate your interest, be sure to let me know. My contact information is right here on the slides, and I will be sure to include you on that call and forward you that invitation right away. Thanks, Sean.
Sure, Jimmy. Just for a moment, for those who maybe hadn't come to the summit or had been involved with the initial communication around this initiative, where can they go to find more information on SCRS initiatives and programs, and where would you recommend they start? And of course, everyone, I just want to let you know that if you have an interest in some of the other initiatives, Jimmy, myself, Marcus, we're here to help guide you to the right spot. If you do have a question, you can always reach out to us. But Jimmy, some of the other work that the team is doing in 2020, where would folks find information around that?
Absolutely. Our two websites are really great resources for that. myscrs.org, there's a couple of sections there. If you are currently signed up for SCRS membership, you can find a lot of the projects and programs that we do under the membership tab. Many of those are protected behind the login. And then there's also a industry partnerships tab there. And then, as Sean mentioned, the SCRS programs website that he just alluded to is another great place for that, scrsprograms.com.
And one of the things that I wanted to share is part of that blueprint and your feedback, everyone, on how people are. When you're running an initiative, sometimes they take years. As you know, 81% of you are part of one. Some of them have milestones and outcomes that are real tangible. Some of them require longer work and communication cycles. We want to be able to provide both. So that's why we've spent so much time on the blueprint idea and understanding how you are sharing that detail and really where it can be valuable to connect all of you to an initiative, whether it's this one or diversity or the oncology program. We have a number of different initiatives. Some of them do require funding to help us move the needle on those initiatives, and some are open and are inform the content that goes into all of our programs. So we will do a better job of helping folks land on those initiatives and explaining. We've learned some from our partners. I think Transcelerate has been kind enough to share some of their takeaways on how they're running their programs as well. It's helped us learn a little bit about improving the dialogue here. And we doing all this great work, let's have opportunities to share it throughout the calendar year and then make decisions as an organization, as a team, as an initiative group, as a work stream on where the work needs to continue. And we're looking forward to some of those changes here in the very, very near future here as we get into 2020. Our colleague Dan, who is at times one of the busiest men in the industry, traveling and helping us at a number of our summits, and of course the most recent Central and Eastern European Ambassador Symposium. Dan, would you share with everyone a little bit about that program that just took place right before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Hello, everyone. So at our last GIP update meeting, we shared about the incredible attendance and meeting that we held for Ambassador Symposium in Taiwan. This last month, we hosted our Central and Eastern Europe Ambassador Symposium in Warsaw, Poland. And this was an incredible meeting with both sites and industry representatives coming together to share best practices for their sites in the region and globally. We had over 120 attendees representing several countries from Poland, Hungary, Germany, Ukraine, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Bulgaria, and a few others. And the sites were so appreciative of the opportunity to have a chance to be included in the conversation and to hear directly from many of the speakers and panel discussions. If you're not aware of our ambassador symposiums, they're similar to our summits, but just a one-day condensed format session focused within a region. And I'd like to thank many of you on the phone helped connect us with your representatives within the region, and we had speakers from Roche, Pfizer, PPD, IQVIA, Greenfire, and then many other GIP representatives from the regions attended as well. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Greenfire for partnering with us to host this event. And we thank you so much for your involvement and commitment to help us conduct this meeting. And to move on with that, and related event is the upcoming European Site Solution Summit scheduled for March 9th and 10th in Lisbon. We'll be talking about that a little bit as we close this program today. But many of you have received an email from me with a call for speakers for speakers for the various panels that we'll be conducting with this great agenda that's been planned. If you can help and forward on that call for speakers to the appropriate representatives within Europe and globally for your company, and have them sign up for sessions, or you can recommend speakers as well, please do that. We hope to begin making assignments to the various sessions here in the next couple weeks.
Excellent. Thanks, Dan. Yes, everyone. One thing that this sort of the program reminds us about is that SCRS, we mentioned that AstraZeneca, Bayer invited us. I don't want to call it a road show, but the idea of helping to connect SCRS with their unique audiences. Greenfire felt that this was an opportunity, since we were looking at Eastern Europe as a continue a relationship there in Poland with the sites that we've gotten on board, but also to invite new members into the fold. I don't know what that looks like completely yet next year. If there are if you have ideas and you're like, hey, we're hosting a meeting in Cincinnati, and maybe there's an opportunity for SCRS to be involved or could help, let us know. That's the how a lot of these opportunities sort of percolate. I will say that Syneos also does a fantastic job of supporting us and helping us grow symposia that have turned into full-on summits in, of course, Australia, New Zealand, and what was our European summit this year was in London, and we're moving it, of course, to Lisbon next year. So thanks, everyone, for continuing to help us, grow globally in the way that we need to. And that, to be honest, it takes a lot of on-the-ground work, a lot of relationships, a lot of conversation, country to country to continue that. And we're exploring ways to continue to keep everyone involved and appreciate the support. I'd like to invite Don Barron to share a little bit about what's happening in just a couple of months here down in Austin, Texas at the second annual Global Oncology Site Solutions Summit. Dawn?
Thanks, Sean, and hello, everyone. Yeah, we are definitely ramping up for the second annual Global Oncology Summit, which will take place again in Austin, January 31st and February 1st. We are proud to say that we have 3 really powerful speakers that have agreed to either serve as keynotes or plenaries. We are working with Andrew Score from Patient Power. We are also working with Dr. Deborah Pratt and Dr. Waterhouse. Both of them are going to be delivering sessions that are talking about the future of oncology and the paths forward based on data that has been collected from sites, as well as data that has been collected from clinical trials that are ongoing in the oncology space. In all cases, we are really focusing the entire program in two areas, innovation and sustainability. So our program has been designed and is published on our website right now, and we have identified those programs in that way. We are nearly complete on assigning all slots for panelists, speakers, and moderators. I believe all of you should have received an invitation from me in order to raise your hand to take on any of those spots. But if you haven't, please reach out to Sean or to myself so that we can make sure that any requests that you have we try to accommodate them as best as possible. We are currently tracking about 30% higher in terms of registration than we were last year at this time, and we are looking to push that forward because we do want the conference to grow this year. Last year we had about 250 people, and so we are looking to push that ahead for 2020. So we highly encourage all of you to join, to register and to bring your teams along. And you should be receiving emails from us up to twice a week. We highly encourage you to take those emails and forward them out to your networks or teams within your organizations, and try to get as many sites and CROs and sponsors to join us in Austin next year.
Thank you, Dawn. And I just want to remind everyone, I know there's only a handful of you on the line today that also serve as our liaison on the oncology program. So if you're hearing this and you're like, well, we're not, that's another division or another group that is involved with SCRS for the oncology program, please help us by reminding, sharing that our primary GIPs can register using the code GIP 2020. You just go to the Global Oncology website, register like you normally would, and put in the code. You may have noticed that last year into this year, we have changed the registration process a bit, so you just enter this code at the beginning. You don't have to have the sticker shock of paying a full registration fee. But we would love to have each of our GIPs participate, certainly at this meeting and any meeting that we have moving into next year. We do still have a handful of exhibit space. As Dawn mentioned, we we're increasing in every way at this program, but it's also a completely different audience from many of the folks that you may meet at the Global Summit. These are cancer centers, these are academics, these are hospital systems, and of course sites with oncology as a TA. And so I think that we're learning this language as well, and we're really excited for this program. So please be sure to join us and use your code. With just a few moments that we have left, I just wanted to remind you that we do have many meetings coming up next year and opportunities to connect. This is our calendar. It will be likely shared in this follow-up, of course, and you can, of course, find it on any of our websites. You can browse each of these meetings and all the opportunities involved. And in the case of oncology, we'll have the agenda up, but there are a few that the agendas are still being worked on, as Dan and Casey had mentioned. Hey, what's next after this call? So please register for the Oncology Site Solutions Summit so we have an idea that you're coming. Once again, just a reminder that you can mark your calendars for upcoming calls and the options to be involved with SCRS. I wanted to also share that, your GIP membership is organizational. So if many of you, actually we've grown, I wanted to have that stat for our call today, everyone, but we weren't able to kind of analyze it quite the way I'd like. But the idea is that almost all of our GIP, from our GIP membership, once you join, for instance, if Bear could have 10 members or 50 members, it's an organizational membership. And one thing that has been very exciting in 2019 is the growth of our GIP member audience. It's a wonderful way to involve people in your organization with SCRS. Yes, you would receive emails, but you also receive the benefits of attending webcasts or, of course, the conferences coming up. So please, if you have someone on your team or even out of your team in your organization that would be a great fit for membership, please let them know to contact us, and we'd be sure to sign them up. Be on the lookout. The Digital Innovation Initiative is pretty much ready to launch here, and Jimmy will have that first meeting in just a little under 2 weeks. I think it's the 17th. And so be on the lookout for that. If you need more information, please reach out to him directly. And then, of course, if there's anything that we can help you with, even if you just want to catch up and have an understanding of some of the programs that we're doing in 2020, Marcus, myself, and our team are ready to speak with you about what we've got cooking and where we can maybe help on some of the programs that you're building internally. So thanks so much, everyone. We're almost right on the dot at 12:45. But we wanted to just take this time. We can't do this work without each of you and the help that you provide us. Sometimes it's just a kind email that you may send, or it could be a way to help us. If there's an idea that you've come across, we really appreciate your work and involvement with us year to year, and wish you, your families, your teams, and everyone that on the line today, our community, to have an amazing holiday season ahead. Have a safe and happy end to 2019, and we can't wait to join you in 2020 where the future's in sight. Thanks, everyone.